The statement is simple. I save 35% of my after-tax income. For anyone on a standard, non-extraordinary salary, that number often triggers one of two reactions: disbelief or an assumption that I must be living a life of extreme, joyless deprivation. Both reactions are understandable, but both are incorrect. Achieving a high savings rate is not the result of secret stock tips or extreme suffering. It is the result of a systematic shift in perspective. It's about moving from a traditional household budget mindset to a personal enterprise mindset. In this video, I will not tell you a story. I will present a framework, a three-part system that I implemented to fundamentally restructure my financial life. This system is what allows me to save over a third of my income while simultaneously increasing my overall life satisfaction. Let's break it down. System number 1. Thinking like a business, not a household. The single most significant change I made was to stop thinking about my finances like a family budget and start treating my personal economy like a business. Let's call it Me Incorporated. A business has one primary financial goal: to maximize profit. Profit is simply revenue minus expenses. In personal finance, revenue is your income, expenses are your costs of living, and your profit is your savings rate. This reframe is incredibly powerful. As the CEO of Me Inc., my objective became clear: increase my monthly profit margin. Suddenly, every financial decision was filtered through this lens. This wasn't about cutting back, it was about cost optimization. For example, I analyzed my expenses not as emotional wants, but as business costs. Is my $150 monthly cable bill a necessary operating expense, or is it a bloated overhead that's dragging down my profit margin? Is the $450 car payment a critical asset for business operations, or could a more efficient solution achieve the same result at a lower cost? This mindset removes the guilt and shame often associated with budgeting. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making your personal enterprise as efficient and profitable as possible. The profit you generate isn't hoarded by a faceless corporation. It's invested directly back into the most important shareholder, your future self. System number 2. Applying the 80-20 rule to all expenses. Once I adopted the Me Inc. mindset, the next step was to identify where to focus my optimization efforts. The Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule, was the key. I quickly realized that roughly 80% of my monthly spending was consumed by only 3 categories: housing, transportation, and food. This was a revelation. I used to spend hours trying to save a few dollars with coupons while simultaneously ignoring the giant financial engine of a car payment draining my account every month. I was optimizing the trivial while ignoring the monumental. The 80-20 rule dictates that you should focus your energy on the 20% of inputs that create 80% of the results. So I stopped worrying about saving $2 on coffee and started focusing on saving $400 on my car. For transportation, I analyzed my actual needs versus my wants. I didn't need a new car. I needed reliable transportation. I sold my car, eliminated the monthly payment and high insurance, and bought a dependable 3-year-old vehicle with cash. This single decision immediately boosted my profit margin by almost 10%. For housing, I evaluated if my rent was a strategic use of capital. For many, a move to a slightly smaller apartment or a location with a lower cost of living can have a massive impact. For me, it was about optimizing my existing space. This approach is about finding the big levers. By making a few difficult but strategic decisions in these 3 areas, you achieve results that are far greater than 1,000 small sacrifices combined. System number 3. Auditing for happiness ROI. The final component of the system ensures that this optimization process doesn't lead to a life of misery. This is where we address the without giving up everything part of the equation.
As the CEO of Me Inc., I started analyzing all my non-essential expenses through the lens of return on investment. But instead of financial ROI, I measured happiness ROI. The process was simple. I listed all my discretionary spending, from streaming services and gym memberships to dinners with friends and hobbies. Next to each item, I rated it on a scale of 1 to 10 based on how much genuine, lasting joy or fulfillment it brought me. The results were eye-opening. A $15 subscription to a streaming service I rarely watched, happiness ROI, 1 out of 10. It was immediately cut. A $70 dinner at a trendy restaurant, happiness ROI, 4 out of 10. The experience was nice, but forgotten a week later. This became a rare treat, not a regular habit. My $50 a month for a rock climbing gym membership, happiness ROI, 9 out of 10. It kept me healthy, it was my social hub, and it provided a deep sense of accomplishment. This was a high-yield investment in my well-being. It stayed. This system replaces guilt-based cutting with data-driven decision-making. You are not depriving yourself. You are strategically defunding the parts of your life that provide low returns on happiness and reallocating that capital towards A, your financial freedom, and B, the few things that truly make your life rich. It's this combination of a business mindset, a focus on the big levers, and a ruthless audit of happiness ROI.
So, we have our 3 core systems in place. The Me Incorporated mindset, the 80-20 rule for focusing on the big levers, and the happiness ROI audit. But theory is one thing. What does this look like in practice, in the real world, when faced with daily temptations? Let me give you a concrete example. A few months into this journey, a group of my friends planned an expensive weekend trip out of state. The old me would have felt immediate FOMO, the fear of missing out. I would have felt the social pressure to go, swiped my credit card, and dealt with the financial anxiety later. But the new me, the CEO of Me Inc., ran the decision through the new systems. First, the business analysis. This trip was a significant, unplanned capital expenditure. It would wipe out my entire profit for the month. Second, the happiness ROI audit. I asked myself honestly, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the lasting value of this trip? Maybe a 6 or a 7. It would be fun, but the stress of the expense would likely outweigh the short-term enjoyment. So, I made a strategic decision. I politely declined. But, and this is the important part, I didn't just say no. I proposed an alternative. I suggested a weekend camping trip at a state park a month later, an experience that would cost a fraction of the price, but would likely yield a higher happiness ROI through genuine connection and time in nature. This is the system in action. It's not about saying no to everything. It's about having a framework that allows you to confidently say yes to the things that truly align with your ultimate goal, freedom. Which leads me to one of the biggest non-financial hurdles you will face. System number 4, managing the social landscape. This is the part nobody talks about. When you stop living on autopilot, people notice. Your friends and family might not understand your new choices. You will face questions. Why don't you want to go out anymore? Why are you still driving that old car? You only live once. You should enjoy your money. These questions often come from a place of care, but they can create immense pressure to fall back into old habits. Defending your choices can be exhausting. Here's the strategy that worked for me. I stopped explaining my choices in terms of saving money. That word makes people think of deprivation. Instead, I started framing my choices in terms of what I was building towards. When asked why I wasn't going on that big vacation, instead of saying, "I can't afford it," I'd say, "I'm pouring all my extra energy and resources into a big project right now." It's true. That project was building my freedom. When friends wanted to go to an expensive restaurant, instead of declining, I would be proactive. "Hey, I'd love to see you all. Instead of that place, why don't we try a potluck picnic at the park on Saturday? I'll bring my famous chili." You shift from being the person who says no to the person who creates new, interesting opportunities for connection.
Think about it for a second. When was the last time you had a truly fantastic time with friends that didn't involve a large bill at the end? It's not about losing your friends. It's about teaching them a new way to connect with you, one that is based on shared experiences, not shared expenses. So after all this optimization, restructuring, and navigating social questions, what does the after picture actually look like? What is the reality of living on 65% of your paycheck? It's quiet. The constant low-level financial anxiety that used to hum in the background of my life is gone. The feeling of dread when an unexpected bill arrives is gone, replaced by the calm confidence of a fully funded emergency fund. The need to impress others with material things has vanished, replaced by a deep sense of self-reliance. I haven't given up everything. In fact, it feels like the opposite. I've given up the things that didn't matter to make infinite room for the things that do. I have more time to read, more energy to exercise. My relationships are deeper because my social interactions are more intentional. My life is smaller in terms of material possessions, yes, but it feels infinitely larger in terms of peace, options, and freedom. This brings us to the conclusion. The goal was never just to save 35% of a paycheck. That's just the metric, the key performance indicator of a well-run personal enterprise. The real product is a life designed on your terms. The three systems we discussed, thinking like a business, applying the 80-20 rule, and auditing for happiness ROI, are the tools. They're the framework that allows you to stop simply reacting to life and start intentionally building it. So what's the first step for you? It's not to sell your car. It's not to create a complex budget spreadsheet. It's much simpler. I'm not going to ask you to track all your spending. I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Open your bank or credit card statement. Find just one recurring subscription or expense that, if you're being truly honest with yourself, brings you a very low happiness ROI. Just one. And cancel it today. That single action, that small intentional choice, is your first vote for your future self. It's the first brick you lay in the foundation of your own freedom. And it's how a journey like this truly begins.